And welcome back to Up North at 4. Today we are celebrating National Veterans Day, so we want to say a huge thank you for all of those who have served.
We actually made a video today, and it was very neat because I realized that most of the team here has somebody who has served in the armed forces, and it was kind of great to hear their stories.
And it was also cool. I think it sparked a lot of conversation for people at home, figuring out those stories, figuring out those photos.
Finding pictures, yep.
Yep, let's take a look at that. On this Veterans Day, I'm thinking about Clarence Hagen and Lauren Holford, my two grandfathers who served in World War II. My grandpa Lauren served stateside. This included working in the Pentagon as a ghostwriter for higher-ups, sending letters to families whose family members were killed or missing in action. My grandfather Clarence served on the USS Salt Lake City as a lieutenant gunnery officer. He was involved in famous Pacific Ocean battles like Iwo Jima.
Today, I'm thinking of my brother Steve Rawson, who served as a detection systems repairer in the Iraq War. My grandpa Red Bradley served as a combat engineer in the Army during World War II, and my Uncle Doug and Don Johnson both served in the Army during the Vietnam War.
A very special happy Veterans Day to all of those who served and continue to serve. For me personally, I want to shout out to my dad. Dad, thank you. I love you. And I'm so glad that I can say that you served for our country in the Navy. And to both of my grandfathers, Richard C. Force and George Sullivan, for their service to our great country.
Today I'm thinking about my grandfather, Lawrence Rapley, who served stateside in the Korean War as an MP, and his brother, Patrick Rapley, a motor pool mechanic who served in the 38th Parallel Station in Korea. I also want to thank wholeheartedly all the veterans and all the armed forces for their services.
On this Veterans Day, I'm thinking of both my grandpa, Richard Meyer, an officer in the U.S. Navy during the Korean and Vietnam War, and my great-uncle, Jocko Clark, who was an admiral in the U.S. Navy during World War II, where he commanded the newly commissioned USS Yorktown after the original was sank during the Battle of Midway.
Today, I'm thinking about my grandpa, Gary Alstein, who served in the Signal Corps during the Vietnam War, and I would like to say thank you to all the veterans who have served.
On this Veterans Day, I'm thinking about my grandfather, Doc Weller, who was a dentist and a captain in the Army during World War II. I'm also thinking about my great-uncle Edgar Weller, who was a field surgeon during the Battle of the Bulge in Belgium.
On this Veterans Day, I'm thinking about my uncles that served in the Army and the National Guard during Iraq. Thank you for fighting for the freedom I have today.
On this Veterans Day, I'm thinking about my great-cousin Arnold Bladorn, who died in France during World War I. My great-grandfather, Ken Perry, who served in the Army during World War II and with the National Guard unit in Rhinelander. My great-grandfather, Walter Schuler, who served in the Army during World War II. My grandfather, Don Bladorn, who served in the U.S. Coast Guard. My father, Walter Bladorn, who served in the Air Force and National Guard for over 30 years. And my cousins, Brooke Heinzman, who served in the U.S. Air Force, and Ray Travis, who is currently deployed with the U.S. Marine Corps. Thank you to all of our veterans who have served our country. From Newswatch 12.
For this Veterans Day, I'd like to thank all of my fellow soldiers and sergeants, of course, my cousin, Jacob Sokol. Thank you so much for your service. You are very well respected.